All right, guys, I'm at this beautiful river here behind me. Drove up, it's kind of mid-afternoon, about 12:15. Absolutely nobody out here. A couple loggers, they do log way up this road, but a couple loggers I've seen, but nobody fishing. And the river looks perfect. So we got the pin today, the only rod I brought. And I've been doing that a couple times this year where I've gone fishing and only bringing the center pin setup, just because, I mean, that's the only way you're really going to get, really get good. So this hole looks great. I was actually hoping the water was going to be low enough that I could cross down here and hike about 2 or 3 miles of the river, but it actually might be a little bit too high to do that. And so I just got a little fixed float, a little 7 gram. As you can see, it's a small river, so 7 gram fixed float, which is about a 1/4 ounce. Ooh, I saw him flash. Wow. Missed our first one of the day. I don't think it was very big. I just saw a flash, and the flash didn't look very big, but that's why you always start on the inside. Hiking down here to our next hole, and honestly, even this hole might have more water in it than I was expecting. In the last video, we pulled the coho out of here, and honestly, the water has dropped a little bit, but not a whole lot. Oop. Don't know if you guys just saw that. An old coho just jumped. And he jumped right back in that tail out underneath this tree, right where I figured there's at least some old coho in here. Guys, I did not think that it was gonna just pour like this. It's absolutely just downpouring right now. Alright guys, well, down at this hole here, I think I added the GoPro video in. I don't know, I'll try to add the GoPro video in, but it's down at this hole. Missed another fish. It's the second bobber down that we've missed today. And this hole usually has fish in it. Should at least have some coho, so I'm going to change it up. I missed a fish on a little bead there. It's a little incognito, I don't remember the name. And a little spawn bag, so I'm going to switch it up. Because there's more flow and color in here than I was expecting, I'm gonna go probably a bigger bead and maybe a little bit different color. Might have to tie one up really quick. I went out to a creek the other day, forgot the GoPro, and yeah, there's nothing I want on here. And lost about, I don't know, 3 or 4 liters in about 5 casts. And so cutting off a little piece of line. I'm going to show you how I rig this. 8-pound fluorocarbon. This little creek I run 8-pound. A lot of people think that that is way too light. Some people think that it's too heavy, depending on where you fish. But I'm going to run the 8-pound. Going to grab a hook. I'm going to run, got to match my size of hook. So for beads here, got a whole box of assortment. And let's see. Might fish this guy. That's one of my favorites. That's an incognito killer orange. One of my favorites. So I'm going to go with like a size 2 hook for that one. the smaller beads. I fish a smaller hook, but put a size 2. I think this is like a 14 mil, maybe even a 16. A little bit bigger. Normally when I run for coho, steelhead, I usually stick with the smaller size beads, 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, down to, 6 millimeter. But I'm just gonna tie this hook up, an egg loop, many different ways to do it, but that's how I do it. Just a little bait loop, so I can add a piece of bait, and also it snells that hook, so that hook doesn't sit straight, it sits a little bit off, so when that fish grabs it, it catches a lot better. Then, since that's an incognito bead, it's a soft shell, but it's got a hard bead on the inside, I'm gonna run a little tiny bead. I'm gonna tie it in. I don't even know if you can pick it up, but just a tiny little bead, and that's what's gonna stop my my actual bead that's fishing from sliding down over the hook. That's how I'm gonna peg it. So I run that down, run my line through it a second time. So basically I run my line through it twice, and it creates this loop in my line. Then I take the hook, put it through that loop a few times, anywhere from usually I do anywhere from 5 to 7. With 8-pound fluorocarbon, you do have to be a little careful because this is such a light line. Doing this can affect the line strength. So then I have it like that. I'm just gonna wet it, pull it tight. That's perfect, about 2 to 3 fingers, somewhere in that gap. Grab my bead and find the hole, slide my bead on, and just like that. So I got my bead pegged with that little tiny bead stop, little size 2 hook, and I got my fixed float, little 7-gram fixed float coming down. I got a couple split shots underneath of it and my swivel. So I'm gonna tie this leader that I just tied directly to the swivel. I know this is kind of it's not really the best showing you guys, but thought I'd kind of just explain to you a little bit how I do it. And this leader I run it anywhere from a foot, depending on how deep I want to fish, to maybe 4-5 feet. Just depends on the hole that I'm fishing. A river like this, where there's a lot of shallow stuff, but then you also have deeper holes, tend to run about 3 to 4 feet leader from my swivel. Then I can also make sure I get a good nice wet knot. So that's from my swivel with a couple split shots. Then I can also slide my bobber up and down on this line above, but split shot swivels and down to my bead and hook. So I'm gonna go back out to this hole. It stopped raining. I didn't think it was gonna rain today, and all of a sudden it just started downpouring. So it stopped raining at the moment. So we're gonna go down there, slide that bead in there, and see if we can't hook something. We got one on, guys. I don't know how much battery I have left, but we got one on, a chromer, just a dandy steelhead. He's just dogging me. Oh my gosh, I hooked him and he leaped out of the river. A dandy steelhead, guys. Battery's not gonna die. We're gonna run out of memory, but oh my goodness. Hope we can get this fish in, guys. He's just dogging me in this current. I've only run an 8-pound leader fishing this tiny creek. He's going up, he's migrating. I don't like those head shakes. Oh, there he goes, cartwheeling. Oh boy, chromer. Just a dandy steely. Just a stud of a steelhead. Oh, buddy. Got him. Look at that fish, guys. Just a stud of a winter. Oh my gosh. On the incognito, the Randy bails. Gonna kind of keep him in the water here because it is a wild fish, but just a stud of a winter steelhead, guys. Here she goes. Just a beautiful hen. See you later, sweetheart. There she goes. That was an epic battle on the center pin. I think I actually broke my top guide off. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Well guys, that was an awesome day on the river. You know, it started out slow. We fished around a lot more than the video showed. Fished around for a few hours. Really worked our butt off, and it was a tough day at first. Caught a couple little cutthroat, little tiny, you know, smolt, and showed you guys how to rig up, and then went down to the hole and banged out a nice winter. And that was a beautiful steelhead. And I ended up snapping off like an inch of the tip off my rod. So I'm like, dang, it's my center pin rod. But I'll probably just end up fixing the tip and still using it. Just put a little eye on the end and still use it. And eventually get a higher end one because I'm really loving the center pin fishing. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. What a beautiful fish that was. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more steelhead videos like this to come, guys.